Big exciting news to start your afternoon as finally that unpaid $10,000 EIDL grant is getting paid. Meantime, the $600 stimulus check, also unpaid, is finally getting paid as well for the second stimulus package. In this video, I go over the executive orders that will impact you being signed into law this week by Joe Biden. A few yesterday and a few more today. And what will be happening tomorrow? It's Economics Day tomorrow at the White House with big stimulus across the board, front and center. And items are already heating up this afternoon. Meantime, unpaid items from the second stimulus and the first stimulus package will get addressed and paid out quickly as well. Finally, all the incredible, great deliciousness that you've been waiting for. I'm really excited. Sir Lloyd is very excited. He's about to tip over. Just don't tip him over yourself. This is a big afternoon's recording of Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Afternoons LALATE, and wow, am I excited. I'm so excited that I brought back the original shirt from this channel that put this channel on the map. This shirt was the one that, they sort of noticed the shirt more than they noticed me. So I appreciate you for tuning in. And this is a big update on your second stimulus check, your first stimulus, and all the deliciousness of the executive orders that impact your stimulus as well. Meantime, big updates about SSI and SSDI, that stimulus. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button on the Fuzz channel. Like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. The membership link is in the description to this video, in the pinned comment, and also at the top right here, right now. So consider becoming a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. In this video, I'm going to go over what happened today, what happened last night, and what will be happening tomorrow for your stimulus. This is first stimulus, second stimulus, executive order stimulus, and the anticipation of third stimulus. In the video right after this, I go into the detail about what's going to happen starting tomorrow. But this gives you the total roadmap of what's not law now and getting paid, and what's becoming law later today as well. And with that, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news is that there's a lot of things happening tomorrow. Joe Biden has separated each day this week into different themes. Yesterday was Climate Day. Today is pandemic issues that he's addressing. And tomorrow are economic issues. But the excitement has already started. Why? Because an executive order, no less than 3 of them, were signed into law yesterday. And these are the executive orders for your stimulus that I told you would be done on day 1. They are an executive order extending the eviction moratorium under the CDC until the end of September. Second, an executive order protecting you for mortgage forbearance until the end of September. And finally, an executive order putting a halt on having to pay any student debts until September. If you're a member to this channel, I have a copy of one of the executive orders so far released in the community page to this channel for members. Now, later today, we're going to see the 12 other executive orders to be announced on top of the 14 executive orders that became law yesterday. So far, at the time of this recording, I have not heard anything else specific to you that is an executive order, but there's a twist. And that twist comes up later in this video. Stay with me for that after the 10-minute mark. All right, now, the big excitement is really heating up with SBA. SBA is the Small Business Administration. And in 2020, when the pandemic first hit, they offered something called the EIDL grant. They offered it from March to about July or October. And people applied with one application for both the loan and the grant, all the way up to just almost a few weeks ago. So finally, after months of my reporting on the channel that the grant was going to get paid to people who never got paid, it's now getting paid. $10,000 if you got zero, or the remainder of the money up to $10,000 if you got a portion of that. Congratulations, you're getting your $10,000. So who is getting the $10,000? They're going to check your business's location or the application's location by zip code, and if you're in a low-income community, then they're contacting you first from an email at sba.gov. Watch your spam folder. That email will invite you to go through the process to get the remainder of your $10,000 grant. After that group, then they'll turn to people not in the low-income community. The EIDL grant for everyone else is not yet back open. All right, so finally you're seeing that $10,000. Now, how about that $600 under the second stimulus package? This is also really developing as great news today and yesterday. I have seen about 12 viewers who have gotten the paper check yesterday and today after us waiting for weeks wondering where it is. And so we do see a rollout of more stimulus checks that were delayed. If this sounds familiar, it should. Back under the first stimulus package, there were a series of stages in which checks would go out to one group, to one part of the United States, and then more checks would go out. It wasn't alphabetical. It wasn't by classification. They were just rolled out at different times. Steve Mnuchin in December of 2020 said everything was sent out on the same day. I didn't believe it when I heard it. We now know it was untrue. So they're coming out in stages. So stay with me. This is going to get fixed by Janet Yellen, and I'm going to cover that in a second later in this video as well. All right, the other big news is that PPP under the second stimulus law is now going live for the big banks. So if you bank at a big bank, they are now joining the small financial online operations, small financial banks, so things like Fundera and Cabbage that have been doing PPP for now 2 weeks. The big banks are now coming in and saying, yes, we're now open for you to get a PPP. Who can get a PPP? Anyone that's watching this and wants that EIDL grant, go get a PPP instead. It's the same type of documentation. It's the same sort of application. It starts as a loan and turns into a grant. It's a little bit different on how it's calculated, but the premise of it is very similar. You have to reach out to your lender to write for you. Go get that money, and there is no cap on it, unlike a $10,000 EIDL grant. All right, so that's the great news there. Now, let's turn back to second stimulus. What's going on with these unpaid items under second stimulus? This is the big good news. Throughout the rest of this week, Joe Biden's cabinet members will be stepping up, per his instruction, to ensure that unpaid items that are law under the second stimulus package law are finally paid. There is a series of no less than half of the second stimulus package items that I detail on this channel that are unpaid, and that's going to change very quickly. So the first item, clearly unpaid for some, is the stimulus check. Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, has been instructed to ensure that that gets out. So stay with us. There's nothing particularly you have to do just yet. That is where we are with that one. Item number 2 is FPUC, $300 a week from now to March under the second stimulus package law. Some states have not paid it. That's a Department of Labor situation to step in and say, why is the state not paid out any of the FPUC? So stay with me on that one as well. PUA/UI is also extended to late March. All right, SNAP. This is really good news. Universally, I've seen almost a 90% success rate on SNAP from viewers of this channel. I have not seen too much of problems with SNAP, so that's a good one. Get SNAP if you want SNAP. So SNAP to it. What is SNAP? SNAP is free food. How much can you get? Well, family of 4 in Hawaii, $1,400 a month. Yeah, it's a lot of money. How do you qualify for it? Anything less than about $49,000 2019 earnings approximately. How do you apply? Reach out to Department of Agriculture or 211. So what did you get under the second stimulus package law? You get a 15% increase on SNAP on top of your existing benefits. The third stimulus package, which is the video right after this, I go over an extension of that increase into the end of the year. But currently it's 6 months, 15% increase. So if you got your January check already and you didn't see it, then it should arrive later in the month as a separate payment, unless you're in states like Pennsylvania where they're paying it separately starting in February. All right. What is else missing and unpaid in the second stimulus law? You know it, and I know it. It's rent. It's utilities. It's free internet. It's free childcare. That's Department of Housing. That's Department of Social Services. We see a reoccurring theme of things that just have not happened. Now, you and I understand that it hasn't happened. I have not gone into the question of why it hasn't happened. Joe Biden today came out with some statements about Operation Warp Speed, about distribution of the vaccine, and said that he didn't find anything. He found no policy. He said things were not being set out. So I think you're going to hear a reoccurring message from Biden and his cabinet this week that certain things under the second stimulus package and around that same time just weren't set out. So there's a reason why you don't have it or live about it is it's not sent out. Next, EIDL low income. If you're looking at the PDF for members of this channel, this is the Monday PDF, and you see here the EIDL grant and the EIDL for low income and the EIDL for agriculture. This is where it gets a little strange. So let me explain what's going on. We certainly know that PPP, which is at the bottom of the second stimulus package, is live. We know that's live. That's not confusing. What's going on with this EIDL for low income and agriculture? This is what's happened. There was supposed to be an EIDL grant for new applicants that are low income, not old applicants that were unpaid for 2020, and new applicants for agriculture. So what are they doing? They're not doing it. So they're saying, thank you for the grant money, but we have unpaid people from 2020. So we're going to spend the grant money on the unpaid people from 2020. We are not accepting new applicants for EIDL for grants for inner city, low income, or for agriculture. I know it sounds confusing because there's a law that says they're supposed to do it. And Javita Carranza's gone, so why are they changing the goalposts again, moving the goalposts? They're moving the goalposts. Bombshell, they're moving the goalposts. So if you're watching this like, I really wanted a grant, LALATE, for my business, stay with me. Third stimulus, the video right after this. There will be a business grant for third stimulus. And if I have time in this video, I'm going to go over what I've been wanting to do, which is a sort of a preview of getting business grants and a preview of getting hazard pay. All right, next, rent. You want the rent under the second stimulus package. It's just not there yet. So what do? You reach out to the volunteers in the pinned comment to this video. That's news.lalate.com/community. The community page, and I'm referring to the LLA community page, not the YouTube LLA community page, news.lalate.com/community has a series of volunteers there separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can reach out to them and they can help you find rent now through private charities and also first stimulus money while we wait for second stimulus to land. Last, I want to explain something that is, again, sounds duplicative and sounds a little confusing, but it's not. Let me make it easy. You're going to hear me talk about first stimulus as having rent money, and then second stimulus having rent money, but it hasn't landed yet. Well, guess what? There's a third stimulus that has rent money as well. Of the three different stimuluses of rent, the volunteers have the ones that have the biggest eligibility window. So you have the biggest likelihood of getting the rent faster, easier with the volunteers. The next broadest will be the third stimulus package, which will include middle class applying for rent. The second stimulus is going to be the most narrow and hardest and most restrictive on the eligibility window. So there you go. All right, finally, what I want you to prepare for when you're tuned into the video right after this is hazard pay eligibility and business grant eligibility. Presumably by tomorrow, we're going to see a draft of the bill or see more details of the third stimulus package bill. But what do you need if you have an existing business and you want to get a business grant? You're going to need to get that 2019 tax return out. You need to ensure that there was a Schedule C if you're Uber, Lyft, or Grubhub, or Airbnb. Schedule C if you didn't do a Schedule C and it appears on the main part of the tax return that's not correct tax preparations, you need to look up what a Schedule C is and get ready for that issue. Don't fix it just yet, but you'll have to fix it potentially if there's a request for business grants and they need a Schedule C. If you have a corporate tax return or an LLC tax return and that's going to be the applicant, get that ready. Make sure you have a business account for the business entity, unless it's your name and you're the applicant. Make sure you have an EIN for the business entity, unless you're the applicant, that's your social security number. And make sure you have a track of the revenues now, in 2021, the revenues in 2020, and the revenues in 2019. Yes, we don't know what's going to be the benchmark which year we're working off of. Now let me turn to hazard pay. Hazard pay is we don't know where hazard pay is going to land in the third stimulus. We have no clarity about it. But this is what you need to know for hazard pay. You need to know how many hours you worked and where you worked and every place you worked. So you could have worked at 3 different essential work job places that may all qualify. You may have, and you need to know your hours, part-time, full-time, overtime. I don't care if you're laid off, hired, fired. You need to know this information if we get to the thick of things. Now, we don't know if you're going to apply or the employer is going to apply. We just don't know these things, but that's the way you prepare for hazard pay. Ultimately, you don't want to go into this as sort of a mystery. You want to know your information and know who you are, both as a business and as an essential worker, before we see the third stimulus package. And that's the video right after this. So please subscribe, like this video, and hit the alert button so you get alert when the next video, third stimulus, goes live. And become a member by clicking the member link in this video. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay in LA for more.